welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Allie and I make new true crime videos every week. If you haven't already, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my new videos. We are going to be talking about a case that is one that started in the news back in 2011 and then reappeared back in the news in 2019. It is a story about a missing boy, and this boy's name is Timmothy Pitzen. This is a really bizarre case and one that is unsolved today. We do not know where Timothy is. Timothy was born in 2004 in Aurora, Illinois, and he was born to parents James and Amy Pitzen. And by all accounts, they had a fairly normal family life. Timothy was described as just your normal average little boy. He was extroverted, he was energetic, he was playful, he had friends, he went to kindergarten, he was just your normal little boy. So something to say about Amy, Timothy's mother, is that before she was married to James, she had had 3 previous divorces. And I think that that's something that's really important to this case, because a few months before Timothy went missing, James and Amy were actually talking about separating. And Amy's family, when questioned about this, had mentioned that they were worried that Amy may not get custody of Timothy because she suffered from depression. And apparently she had erratic behavior, and so the family was worried that Amy would not get custody of Timothy if she and James divorced. So May 11th, 2011, James took Timothy and dropped him off at school where he went to kindergarten. And he left Timothy at school and went to work. About 30 minutes later, Amy arrived at the school and she told the staff that there had been a family emergency and that she needed to pull Timothy out of school. So she left with Timothy. We all know now that there really was no family emergency, and at this point James had no idea that Timothy had been pulled out of school. He was completely unaware, and the only time that he found out was when he actually went to the school after work to pick Timothy up at the end of the day, and Timothy was not there. So he rushed home, he checked the house, he checked Amy's work, he tried to call her multiple times on her cell phone, and she did not answer, and she never called him back. However, she did call her mother back, and she called James's brother back, which I find kind of odd. But she told her mom that everything was fine, she just needed to get away for a few days, and so she took Timothy and they were going on a little vacation. When she spoke to James's brother, she told him basically the same thing, but she added in a very disturbing phrase, and she said that Timothy is mine. So that's what she told James's brother. So that kind of had the family on edge, to be honest, because why would you mention that? Going back to the separation, and the family was worried that maybe Amy wouldn't be getting custody. It just put them on edge. So they went on vacation. She took Timothy to a zoo in Chicago. She took him to a resort in Wisconsin. And from everything that we know, we have quite a bit of security footage showing Amy and Timothy at that point. It looked like they were doing great. They were having a great time. Timothy had toys. They were getting along. It looked like they were having just a great vacation, mother and son together. So on May 13th, 2011 at 10 a.m., this is when we have the very last footage of Timothy that is known. Timothy and his mom checked out of the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin, and that is the last footage that we have of the two together. At 8 p.m. that same night, Amy was spotted in security footage from a grocery store in Rockville, Illinois, and she was spotted alone. There was no sign of Timothy in the footage. And then at 11:15 that same night, May 13th, 2011, Amy checked into a motel in Rockford, Illinois. The next day, May 14th, 2011, Amy's body was discovered by a housekeeper. Police later said that they had found self-inflicted cuts on her neck, on her wrists, and there was a lethal dose of drugs in her system. Police also found a note next to her body that stated that she was sorry for the mess that she had created and explained that Timothy would never be found but was safe with people who were taking care of him. So nobody really knows what that means. Nobody knows if Amy killed Timothy. Nobody knows if maybe Amy gave him to somebody that she knew. Maybe she gave him to somebody that she didn't know. Nobody knows. So Amy's cell phone was missing. The police could not find it anywhere. They did find her car, and it looked like, from the debris on the car, it looked like that it had been parked in a grassy area next to maybe a stream, and it was also found near a highway. So kind of giving clues as to where Amy had gone, perhaps, with Timmothy. Later on in 2013, they did find Amy's phone near Route 78, but there was no information on it that the police already didn't know, and so it was really no use to them. So to this point, there was no sightings of Timmothy anywhere ever again after that surveillance footage of him checking out of the hotel with his mom. Now everybody says, all of the family, all of Amy's friends, everybody says that she would never hurt Timmothy, that she loved him, he was the light of her life, and she would absolutely never hurt her little boy. And it seems like from their little mini vacation that they took, that was the case. It looked like they were having a great time, they were having quality time together. However, some people think that maybe because of her depression and because she was having all of this erratic behavior, perhaps the mention of the separation and the fact that she may not get custody of Timmothy led her to have these delusions of taking him to basically the best last day ever, taking him on this vacation to give him this experience, and then maybe she killed him. But nobody knows for sure. Nobody knows where Timmothy is. Something interesting about that last day is that Amy was caught on 2 different surveillance cameras. One was the last time that Timmothy was found, and that was at the hotel when they were checking out. The next time was later that night when she went into the grocery store. And if you pay attention to this footage, she's wearing 2 different outfits. So there must be a reason why she changed her clothes. We don't know what that reason is, but there had to have been a reason. Maybe she had blood on her clothes, maybe she had dirt on her clothes, or maybe it was a completely harmless reason. Sometimes I change my clothes in the middle of the day, but we don't know why. So it is something interesting and something to keep in mind. So up to this point, James, who is Timothy's father, absolutely believes that Timmothy is still alive. He does not believe that Amy would have killed him. He thinks that she probably just gave him to somebody to take care of him. So that's important to remember, is that up to this point, he still believed that Timmothy was alive and out there. So here's the interesting part. On April 13th, 2019, some local people in Kentucky called the police and reported a teenaged boy wandering aimlessly around. And so the police went and picked him up and took him into the police station. And that's where this story gets absolutely crazy. He claimed to be 14-year-old Timmothy Pitzen. He said that he escaped from a hotel room where he had been held hostage by 2 men. So police immediately called James and say, we may have found Timmothy. So he immediately gets in the car and starts heading to Kentucky. Now, while he's driving, he gets another phone call from the police, and it's not a very good phone call. They say, maybe don't get your hopes up too much, because we're asking this boy all of these questions that have to do with Timothy's life, and he's giving answers that are not lining up with what Timothy would say. So one of the questions that they asked him was about childhood pets. And this teenager that they found said, oh no, I didn't have any pets when I was a child. However, Timothy did have pets. He had 3 cats and a dog. And so that was something that made them think, maybe this isn't Timothy. Another thing that kind of raised red flags for police was that this boy, in the footage that they have of him, doesn't look like a 14-year-old boy. They said that it looked like he was carrying himself much older than somebody who would be 14. And so that, paired with the fact that he was saying he didn't have any pets when he was a child, really made them believe that maybe this wasn't Timothy. The next day, the truth came out. DNA tests showed that this person was not Timmothy Pitzen. DNA test revealed that this was 23-year-old Brian Reaney, and he was an ex-convict that had just been released from prison not too long ago for stealing and burglary. And after digging a little bit deeper into Brian Reaney's past, they found that he tried to previously pass himself off as a victim of sex trafficking. So they questioned him about this, and he finally admitted that he had just seen Timothy's story on 2020 on ABC, and he decided that he was going to assume his identity. So originally, he pled not guilty to the charges of lying to federal agents. So Brian Reaney was indicted on 2 counts of making false statements to the FBI and 1 count of aggravated identity theft. And they institutionalized him for a bit to see if he was competent to stand trial. After that stay, they decided that he was in fact competent to stand trial. Prosecutors dropped charges of lying to the FBI agents in exchange for a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to aggravated identity theft and was sentenced to 2 years in prison minus time served, and he will be on probation for 1 year at the end of his sentence. So he'll spend a little bit of time in prison. So back to James, the father of Timmothy Pitzen. How is he feeling at this point? He still believes that Timothy is alive. He thinks that Timothy is probably just somewhere out there living his life without the media, and somebody is taking care of him, probably keeping him away from all social media, and he mentions in an interview that maybe he's being homeschooled. So he has hope that someday he will find Timothy and he will be well. The family has spoken about the incident where Brian Reaney said that he was Timothy, and they said it was really sad and it was really, really hard, obviously, but it was good in a way because it keeps Timothy's case in the public, and maybe somebody knows where he is. Maybe somebody has seen him, maybe somebody has heard somebody talking about it, and that's good. And that's good to keep it out in the public. So as sad as they were that it wasn't Timothy, they were happy that it got the case new light. The family has also spoken to the person that might have Timothy, and they've said, you know, whatever Amy told you about James isn't true. He is a great dad. He deserves to have his son. His son deserves to have his father. And so if you are that person, please know that whatever Amy said wasn't true, and please bring Timothy home. I'm not sure what happened to Timothy. I'm not sure what Amy did with him. I'd like to think that she did not hurt him. She seemed like a great mom, all things considered. So I would like to hope that maybe she gave him to somebody who really is taking great care of him and that he's safe and well. But we just don't know. I hope that someday the family will be able to find Timothy and get some closure. And this family is not losing hope, so we shouldn't lose hope either. So that is the case of Timmothy Pitzen. This was a case that was kind of sad to me. It's always sad to cover a case that the child is missing and there's just no answers. But it's good to get it out there. If you have any information on Timothy, please let authorities know. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe so that you don't miss any new videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.